Hey, hi Fortunato, how are you doing? You hear
Sorry, I
me?
was muted. Yeah. Now can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
So
Yeah, I'm good. I'm quite good. And you?
nice, doing good too. Happy with the World Cup. Are you following it? Are you rooting for some any team?
Uh, maybe. Yes. Maybe. I have some favorites, but I prefer that maybe it's better not to disclose them.
Okay, I'm rooting against Bosnia because of the that situation.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's working.
But yes. So, well, today we welcome everyone. Today, Federico is not here. He is participating on the SubTech conference in Buenos Aires. This is like a conference about innovation in legal tech, and it's the first time that it is done in South America. So it's a big thing, and Federico also helped organize it a bit. So yeah, I'll be joining them tomorrow and I think on Friday too. So there are some interesting panels that are very much aligned with what we do in Kleros. So this is pretty exciting. And well, we have Fortunato here that he's back from the conferences and vacations as well, right? So how does
Yeah,
it feel to be back to the community call?
it feels nice. I miss them. I miss like keep working and building at Kleros. But I have to say that last week was very interesting in Berlin. We met a lot of actually, for those who don't know, like I would say the Berlin Blockchain Week is quite popular because it has a lot of technical people. So there are a lot of builders, project freelancers. So it is very good from the technical standpoint. Um, Also, I would say that the two main takeaways of this conference were the first one, needless to say, AI agents and their application in pretty much everything. Wallets, explorers, any app. But I would say the most use cases I saw was people working on agents for auditing, like auditing smart contract and auditing code. So note this because from this conference, this was the main use case that I saw in Web3 more than everything else. And another takeaway was the Ethereum Economic Zone. I don't know if our audience is aware about it. Is this this standard, which was mainly a Gnosis initiative that will allow the various L2s and mainnet to interact in a easier way, because probably you all know that at the beginning of the year there has been some like consistent and heated conversations about the L2s and their roles, especially now that Ethereum has more affordable gas fees. And I think this Ethereum economic zone is going to be extremely useful for the ecosystem. And since we built a lot on Gnosis, it will likely be very useful for us at Kleros as well.
Interesting.
I don't know if
And
Jean, you know, like, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I don't know exactly how it works technically, but yeah, I understand like the problems that they're trying to solve. And I, one thing that I had like questions about is that the timelines. So I think
Hmm.
I don't remember if it was announced last year at DevCon or this year in March, but I think the timelines were that they were looking to have something live during the year, right? Or before the end of the year, something like that. So
Precisely.
did they mention anything about that? Like, are they still like on schedule?
Yeah, they mentioned exactly what you said, that the launch is for now, the objective is the end of 2026. Yeah, the end of the year. So far we are in June. So this means that they seem to be on schedule for that. But yeah, they brought the timeline and they said for the end of the year. Then I
It's
think
nice.
there is now DevNet, and I don't remember if testnet is also already live. But yeah, the launch will be the end of the year.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, how if it could impact the design that we have planned for the VIA bridge. Maybe there are something that could like improve like the security, right, of the
Hmm.
setup.
Yes, exactly. We were discussing this with JB at the conference, and the Ethereum Economic Zone is also tied to the various L2s adopting it, because for now we have Gnosis, of course, and Mainnet. I don't remember how many of them there are right now, but still, I think the main L2s did not disclose whether they are going to participate or not. So my take is that a lot is going to, like to be defined according to the adoption. I mean, this is quite obvious. It's just that usually we discuss of the adoption on the user side. In this
Mhm.
case, it's the decisions of the various L2s whether they want to be part of it or not. Of course, like we do hope they will.
Yeah, I think it also I think probably when it gets closer to launch and people see that the benefits that the networks can have, sorry, if they participate, then it will be probably more people will be get on board, right? More chains, let's say, because you
E-
get like an instant benefit, right?
Exactly. Imagine having way more users just uh, out of the blue. And I'm trying to. What do you think would be the potential downsides of this for an L2 for not joining?
Yeah, the only thing that I can think of, but I'm not sure technically if it will affect that, is that when you have like a shared agreement of like networks, maybe you, you could be accepting networks where I don't know there are problems with the Oracle that were not well maintained or things like that. Maybe for DeFi there are some downside of that. When if there's like something broken in one of the chains of the zone, maybe it could affect the others. But yeah,
Mm.
I'm not sure. Because there was, for
Yeah.
example, these these big hacks that we had the last couple of months. There were some contagion effects that maybe were not like in the code itself, but there might be something of that, but to be honest, I don't know. Just some thoughts.
Yeah, I was just being, like the devil advocate, because
Mhm.
I really think that the upsides really are way more than the downsides of doing this. Besides what you mentioned, that it's like probably like technically one of the main points. Maybe it's also about control. I don't know, like tools would like to be more independent in a certain way, but really for builders, I don't see downsides. Besides, I mean, you can access way more users, and needless to say, what something I always mention is also thinking about adoption and onboarding of non-Web3 users, because I think we don't mention this enough, that besides our bubble, we should focus on onboarding. Of course, like the Ethereum Foundation did great things, like especially with the updates, the IP 7702 with the delegation, the sponsored gas fees. That's like I think it's great from the user perspective, but in general, the whole ecosystem should focus on that, making it as easier as possible for beginners.
Yeah, one thing that, if I'm not mistaken, the Gnosis chain will become like an L2, right? And then it will be part of this zone. And I think probably one blocker for the Gnosis chain was that it did not have like as many bridges or as much liquidity as other L2s. And, for example, it was hard for an exchange, like a centralized exchange, to integrate it because it is like something different. And probably that would change, right? If they become a L2, maybe the stack will be the same as the other ones that other providers already have. They don't need to have like separate infrastructure because it's almost the same thing. And maybe that could benefit the apps that we have on the chain, right? Like Curate, maybe to become easier to bridge and to have more users also participating. So
yeah, absolutely, and have like users that maybe they interact more in a different chain or on mainnet. It will be easier for them to interact, without having. That's the point. Without having to bridge, wrap, swap, they can interact immediately.
great. And regarding security, you mentioned AI agents for coding or for audits, right? And
Audits,
does
yeah.
this has to do with formal verification, or this is a separate thing? Because I know there are some push around that too, making code that can be proven. You can have proofs that code doesn't have bugs. I think that's the idea, or is this something else?
No, is mainly related to both auditing in Web3 or smart contract, but in general, the conversation is about like security in a larger scale, because if on one hand, with AI, you, of course, we all know you can build more, build faster. On the other hand, it leaves more room, more surface for attack. So, sorry, we're discussing the pros and the cons and how, like, the let's say malicious parts also benefits of these tools, because they can multiply their attacks and they can find vulnerabilities faster. And I've been in several talks on this matter, and security experts actually were quite positive and bullish on it, because they say that even if AI allows us to, to have these capabilities for a beginner to attack a system, you need to be a sort of psychopath and criminal to do that. It is something to think about. If you know there is one vulnerabilities and you could steal money from random people. We are not talking about, big banks or big like players, just from random people. Would you do that? I mean, not directly to you, if you want to answer this question, but
I wouldn't. Just would like to say out loud, I wouldn't.
Yeah, me neither.
I understand.
And I can also say
but there could be like other. I think maybe there are other risks, because you have like probably one of the main players in this in the ecosystem, like regarding hacks, is North Korea. So they would definitely would. So if there's an issue, I think they would.
Yeah, but it's just that how many, like, of course, like in this case, the capabilities of North Korea are way higher, but the risk is also to have way more potential hackers. But I think like the the positive outcomes are still, even in this case, are more, because even I can say this also from my point of view, I also wouldn't do that, both because I like, I would feel bad, but also it carries some risks. Like you can still be catched, they can still like freeze the funds. So it's still something dangerous to do. So yeah, this was one topic, and the other topic was, for example, something very specific for bug bounties. For example, now with AI agents, companies are facing way more requests to review code that has been flagged as malicious, and it is slower to process. I've also discussed with some developers also on X. You will find my replies. This has becoming relevant. So the quantity of code is increasing, and also the quantity of audit, or white hat, is increasing. So security and AI was quite a big topic throughout the entire blockchain week.
It's interesting. So are people talking about like a process where you have to stake to report something, and then if you report something incorrect?
No comment on that.
No, but I'm asking for are they thinking about something like that, like a spam filter?
Yeah. The thing is, it is possible. It's just that it depends on what kind of code you are going to audit. Because let's say you are auditing code that is currently live, that you are finding a bug that is currently live. If you expose the potential bug, that's going to be a disaster, right? So in some cases, these like flagging, this submitting a report is better to stay private, but there are other cases where skin in the game may be useful, and we are looking into that. I don't know, like if Jean is still there or if it's my connection. I'll send a message to Jean to see if he's still here. Okay, I got some info from the audience that, yeah, I'm still good. So yeah, since we have Jean is freezing right now, I can move forward with some updates related to Curate on the product side. The first update is keeping discussing on AI. We are about to release the Kleros skills. In particular, in my case, I'm reviewing the Curate skills, and you may wonder why it is taking a bit longer to release them, and the reasons are mainly two. The first one is because, in very simple terms, we are trying to put as many guardrails as possible. The AI agents tend to hallucinate way more than anyone can imagine. I mean, if you are an AI agent user, you can see how often they make up numbers or answers. And also, we cannot assume that maybe everyone is using the latest available model. Some of them may be, okay, you're back.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I had an issue with my connection. Must have been uncomfortable for you to see me again.
No, just a few seconds, because I was not sure. About? Yeah, it was just I was not sure if it was me or you. So, but then like I got a message from William sharing that I was still on stage. So yeah, I was just simply moving forward with the product updates related to Curate. I was mentioning that Is it here? Yeah.
Looks
Okay.
looks like my connection is fading, but well, looks like it's
Mm-hmm.
working now. So one thing we were talking about. Sorry, I missed a couple of minutes, but we were talking about like some security reports that maybe are kind of overloading the reviewers. Then I remember that there are these markets about merging PRs on two repositories related to AI agents. So there's the Hermes agent repository and also I think OpenClaw, and these are
Let's wait a few seconds if Jin will
tell like
come
which
back.
ones. Can you hear me now?
Now, yes, we lost you for
Okay.
like 20 seconds. You were talking about how also OpenClaw, and then it cut.
Okay. Yeah, I will remove this from the screen. Maybe that's one of the issues. So yeah, this page, basically you have prediction markets about each PR, and then you see the likelihood of it being accepted. So a reviewer could, for example, review only the ones that have like a high likelihood of being accepted. Then you kind of remove the spam or low quality like PRs. And of course, this can only be possible if it is open, and for security reports, there are many that cannot be open. But well, just one idea, and I would say that it's pretty aligned with the other things that we do at Kleros. And
Yeah,
this actually uses it uses here in Kleros as the final arbitrator, so it's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
This was like a huge, but not just in the Berlin Blockchain Week. I remember, I think even the founder of OpenClaw often complains about the amounts of PR generated, and for him it's very difficult to keep up with all of them because good chunk are just slop and people who want to be featured in OpenClaw. So the amount of code generated is really insane with AI.
Yeah, and one thing, did you have like conversations about like data, like the security of data, and let's say more insights on transactions? Were there discussions about clear signing, or not that much?
Less than I expected. Like this topic of AI, Ethereum Economic Zone, and security and audit were certainly the
Main
the one that
things.
we discussed the most. Yeah, we of course like we discussed this protocol with clear signing in general because like we are directly involved in that. But yeah, those were certainly the main topics. There isn't nothing really new besides the updates that we already know. Some related to us, for example, about the database, and yeah.
Great. And well, can you tell us something about the Claro skills and what people can expect? What can you share?
Yeah, yeah. I was just mentioning this while you
Okay,
were taking
sorry,
a break.
no problem.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Well, maybe it was your agent. You had to switch agent. You changed the model.
Yeah.
Like someone started to fail, and you
Ran
switched
out of
maybe from.
tokens.
Yeah, exactly. You you had to step up in person because the tokens were over. Um, so yeah, I was mentioning that we are working on the Kleros skills, and we have been mentioning them for a while, and I was explaining that the reasons why is taking a bit longer is the first one for safety reasons. Agents can hallucinate really often, and here they are interacting with smart contracts. So a small mistakes can cost money. So we are trying to put in enough guardrails, because something to keep in mind is that not everyone uses the same AI models. An AI agent could be using a free model. They could be using Fable from Anthropic. They could be using ChatGPT, Kimi, whatever. So we have to make sure that these skills work for any model. There is always a margin of, some errors that can be done by the agent, but we are focusing on the guardrails. And this is the first point. The second point is that these skills are part of a larger projects that we have at Kleros that we are doing with AI agents, because we have plenty of tools that AI agents have to interact with, not just Court, but not just Curate, but we have Court, we have Escrow. So we are working on all of them. Also, as you know, we are working on the ERC 8004 standard, both on the identity and reputation registries. So that's why it is taking a bit more than you may expect, but we are doing it right. And yeah, we look forward also to have your feedback. But we are really close. I think it's a matter of like really few days, because on Curate side, the advantage is that we have many lists. So we may release, the first skills we may release will be specifically for Scout, then will be followed by the whole Curate, where you can even create a list with your agent. Actually, if you are already enough skilled, you can already find the tests that we are doing on our contracts and on our front ends, because we are doing plenty of tests. So soon they will also be released. And to last thing, we are also putting a lot of work into the database for the Scout tags. We have a lot of interests. We have plenty of partners already using them, and this was a bit overloading our system. So we decided to create a way that it makes easier for our partners to consume this data, but also for anyone to plug and instantly consume this data, because we are, I would say, we are certainly the largest repository of verified tags, but we are one of the very few, if not the only ones, who has a very high granularity in verifying these tags. Of course, there may still be wrong name, but the strength of our system is that if one is found, you can flag it. So we are working on the database with it's putting a lot of work, one of our backend devs, Francisco. And I think once we will be ready and when we will about to launch it, he will come to the community call to show all the work behind it.
Great. Yeah, regarding the skills, I think we can also mention it, two different things. One is that there was recently two agents that signed a contract together, a Ricardian contract, and there are some infra in the background that implements this contract. I think there is a legal wrapper in the US. And well, we are in contact with this project to see how can we, implement Kleros as a clause, or maybe do something on chain as well. This could be pretty interesting. And there is another initiative that we were invited to participate with, and that we cannot share much for now. but that could be very good for our push into agentic commerce. And I don't know if you guys are following it, but recently there was, this week there were three announcements from Stripe about agentic commerce. There's kind of a directory, like a yellow pages uh, for businesses that accept AI agents as consumers. In other things, there is a push from the Circle project too, like the people that mint USDC. So this is coming from different angles. There's also people from Google interested in this standard, the Agent 82A, I think it's called. So this it's not only crypto anymore. There is like a broader push for agentic commerce. So yeah, I hope we are prepared for this new wave, because it's I feel like Kleros was built perfectly for that. Like that word is finally happening.
Yeah, the experience of interacting with agents with our tools is amazing. Like now that I'm in testing phase, it really abstracts a lot of complexity, a lot of thinking, a lot of manually filling fields. It is way easier. One comment I wanted to make about Stripe and payments. I think this is going to be also a very big thing. But the interesting aspect is that all these initiatives may be wiped if when tomorrow Cloud will release some payment integration, and then it will be over for the other smaller, not necessarily smaller, but for the other players trying to give a credit card to an agent now, besides the Web3 sphere.
Yeah. I'm not so sure, but we'll see. I think lots of things will happen this year still. So we don't need to wait years to to see. We'll see it pretty fast, probably. So yeah, great. And what about the agents interacting with Kleros? I remember, I think on
I think we may have lost Jean again. Let's wait a couple of seconds. Yeah, he's back. I can hear him.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what's happening with my connection, but yeah, just would like to say that in January I tried with my agent to create an escrow contract, and with we don't have like a lot of documentation about the escrow on V2. I think maybe like partial documentation, and I gave it to it and asked it to create a contract with my address, and it did almost everything correctly. Just did not submit to IPFS like the contract, and then on the second try it did everything correctly. So, and was without documentation. So now that we will have the skills designed for this, of course there will always be cases where it gets something wrong. So people need to be careful about that and monitor very closely and kind of do their own skills on top of the things that we launch. But
Yeah.
but still, I'm very positive that, for example, I might do some submissions on Curate of wherever I find that is not on the list yet, just because I want to be items to be tagged, and something that maybe manually I was not doing before because it takes like some manual work. And I think that this would be pretty cool, and we'll have like more submitters on Curate. Maybe people even participating on challenges, on monitoring entries. and things like that.
Yeah, for Curate is particularly relevant because it's not just the like a simple bot that it's pushing, that it's submitting items. You can instruct your agent to not just make sure that technically the submission is okay, but also the content of the submission. I am doing like some tests where sorry, where sometimes I instruct the agent not to just prepare the submission, but also to check field by field if it is compliant with the policy. And I already tested it a couple of times where I made a submission with an agent with my information, and the agent warned me maybe this field is not going to be compliant. I made the submission anyway, and I was challenged. Of course, these were part of tests, but the agents are very good also in decreasing the risk of being challenged. So it's not just how to say, like, making us more lazy that we have less work to do, but it's also less risky to submit because you can just tell your agent, for example, for one of our registries, the address tag registry, you can ask your agent to make sure this name has been mentioned in the official documentation of the relevant project, and you will have your agent starting to scrape the web pages till it is sure that the provided name is correct. So it is extremely useful, and as you said, it opens way to usage to way more users.
That's great. Yeah, I wonder if in the future, like Kleros Jurors will have kind of their agents like monitoring entries. There's like a standard thing that we can provide that people can configure to maybe pay attention to sometimes of possible mistakes, or use this data, cross-check with this data or this other database and things like that, and maybe even try to bring items from other databases to Kleros. So that could be very interesting. And maybe even check like potential appeals that are on cases that are going on. I think that could also be great.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly that, like another way of, how to say, of, let's say, investing. You always have a agent checking for all the cases if there is some case that was ruled incorrectly and if there is chance to make money through an appeal. Yeah, fully agree.
Well, since we're talking about this, I don't know, William, if you are there. Can I add you to the conversation? Okay. Hey, William.
Hi, William.
How are you doing?
Hey, everybody.
I have a question
Tactical
for you.
gear.
Yeah, let's go Canada. So I have a question for you. Do you think if we knew, for example, that we have, I don't know, 10 people running their agents, checking submissions and appeals, do you think this changes the calculations on the courts for the appeals? Do you have like anything to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, any of all these sort of like optimistic mechanisms we have, whether it be the sort of challenger submitter games or like the appeal process, through like crowdfunding or something, get easier when you can reduce the amount of effort that has to go into verifying for the challenger, for the like challengers. If you can just run a bot that's like, this is a promising appeal or this is a promising challenge opportunity, that makes these mechanisms much smoother.
Interesting. And I can imagine that, for example, if we have like an appeal period of 3 days, you kind of expect people to be available like in those 3 days, right? So, or 2 days, I don't know exactly. So if we kind of have like an assurance that people are checking it faster, like more frequently, then we could potentially also reduce that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of two things that go into that. One is like the human, like how frequently humans can be expected to be available to like look at like whether there's a pending appeal that they might be interested in funding or not. And then there's also sort of like questions around like censorship on blockchains. Like how long can someone plausibly like maintain like a censorship attack like on an L2 on mainnet? You know, like if the sequencer crashes or something, you know, when I want, you know, it's my turn to like, you know, when I need my appeal to be funded, like how are the sequencers like maliciously censoring me for some reason? Like what is my recourse? Can I do some kind of forced inclusion? What are the time limits for that? So depending on how much you care about that kind of censorship resistance, you might still want like your appeal periods to be at least a few days. But if you're have like a smaller scale case, you know, it's like it's only a few dozens of dollars. It's not, you're not worried so much about like the Arbitrum sequencer misbehaving or something. Then like yeah, you can use shorter periods.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I'm positive that we will see more like these types of things going on in the community, because we already see like challenges happening very fast, right? Even on things that are very like very detailed submissions on Curate. So I can see people doing these challenges using these types of tools. So one question, William, about the research on AI and the things that you shared on the UK UK tour on the universities. Do you see? I know that you're discussing this with Rob and JB also. Do you see like panels of AI jurors participating in the court, maybe as one juror or maybe as multiple jurors? What are your like findings about that?
Yeah, I mean, we totally expect AIs to participate as jurors on some level because it's hard to stop. You can, you know, like even if we designed our game for human beings, like there's only so much, you know, guardrails and sort of like things you can put in place to force the players of the game to be human beings. Like ultimately, even if you're on proof of humanity, you know, like I've checked that this juror, you know, has like a human being behind them. They can always just like give their key to their LLM. What does what does it look like when there are a bunch of AI jurors in Kleros? How does that affect the game? So I mean, our thesis, or at least you know, a thesis that I have, is that this is actually like Kleros is a very natural platform to have AI-based dispute resolution, because rather than just enshrining like a single AI decision maker, like the AI have to compete with each other and like iterate and improve, and like they might lose money if they're not doing well, so they could be forced out, and like another AI could come in. So it's a little less dystopic. You know, it's easy to get into sort of dystopia scenarios where you have like one AI that's your decision maker, and they're right, you know, most of the time. You know, like people are like broadly like happy with them, but you know, like maybe they're not right on the time that you care about, and you end up in this kind of black mirror situation where you know, like like you're not getting like additional due process and recourse because everyone just believes the AI. You complain, everyone's like, well, the AI, you know, said whatever, we should just follow that. You know, even if like maybe if you had like more scrutiny, you could have some kind of a counter argument. So at least in Kleros, like, you know, if like some other AI realizes that there's a profit to be made, and like those edge cases that the first AI is making mistakes on, it can try to like get an edge. So you know, that's something we're looking a lot at. We've done experiments on how like the LLMs would handle past Kleros cases. I'm really interested in if like sort of questions around the behavioral economics of LLMs. So there are all kinds of interesting questions if like if you have like AI tools, do they act more like, how does their sort of rationality model compare to that of human jurors? Do they act like Homo economicuses? You know, these sort of like perfectly rational profit maximizing jurors? Like the LLMs are kind of trained on, like human texts and such. So on some level, you maybe expect them to act more like human beings and inherit all the kind of like weird like deviations of rationality, partial rationality that human beings have. I would be really interested to see experiments of the behavioral economics of AI. This is one of the tracks in the fellowship that for the next batch, which I think is going to open soon. So if there are any behavioral economists, watching this call that want to like do that kind of research and have like a tie into decentralized justice, we invite you to apply to that. I have in my mind a couple of experiments maybe we can do of like, are LLMs more likely to take certain kinds of bribes, or do they like gravitate towards different kinds of Schelling points in human beings? But there's lots of interesting research to be done.
It's interesting. Yeah, I can picture that even if we could have like a panel of jurors of AI jurors, we could have like a panel where a juror maximized to maximize the honest answer, and another one to maximize the homo economics part, homo economicus part, so it can take advantage of these inefficiencies, let's say, of the that they could have. It would be interesting to see experiments on that.
Totally.
Yeah. And William, anything else that you have to share about your research? What is your next conference?
So I'm speaking at like a social science conference in Toronto in October. So I'm going to be on a panel with Nathan Schneider, who's been like a long follower of our project. I think that talk is also going to be sort of about like AI in that he's very interested in protocols, both in terms of like machine protocols, but also the kind of protocols that human beings follow. So we're going to talk about the relation, like when human beings and AIs interact in protocols together. What does that look like? I think I have maybe another online conference between now and then, but so those are some of the upcoming things.
Great. Well, I now remember one question I had to do about the experiment. In the experiment to be run so far, the AI agents were given, the models were given the content of the case and no past results, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't directly give them past results. It's like some like in some cases, like maybe they can see past results on chain or not, depending on how we configure the what LLM we're using. But yeah, like that's like a variable to test.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, there are so many things to experiment with and to run tests with. So yeah, I'm very curious to know how it will behave if it had access to the previous cases, because the humans do, right? They frequently discuss that and even mention in the justifications. So yeah, great. Well, thank you, William. Is Canada playing today or?
Yeah, we're playing in 10 minutes. As soon as I
10
hang
minutes?
up
Okay. So yeah, I will root for you too. Great. So thanks, William. Fortunato, what else do we have? Like we have the updates for the Scout rewards the end of the week or next week, right?
Yes, we will probably release the article next week. And it's good that you mention it, because we will, alongside the usual monthly updates, there will likely be a technical update to the ATQ policy. Of course, this will be, we will go through the due process of sharing what's new, and you will also be able to see the change on the front end. So yeah, it's good that you mentioned this, because we will also make a small update to the ATQ registry, which is the registry that brings us more tags. Less submissions, but more tags. Let's say it's more optimized. I think Jean is not here. Yeah, maybe Yeah.
Sorry, I
You're
had an
back.
issue with my connection again. So, but I'm back. So we'll have an update.
It's the
about
context. You are reaching like the maximum context, and you have to compact every time.
I don't know what's happening. Maybe my bot is downloading something using my connection.
Or maybe it's doing an attack. The incentives of you told your bot make money, and is like probably it's
side.
already like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. And another thing is that we'll probably have by next week the hidden votes court finally, right? Need to write a couple of
uh,
things.
the thing is, we will have it, but the migration will take a bit more because user will have to restake in the new court, and we will do
Oh,
it
okay.
gradually. So we will create the transaction, sign the transaction, and after the court is created, we will pinpoint a day that we are going to announce where we will move the registries to the hidden vote, so jurors have time to know exactly when there will be the change, and they can stake in the new court.
Great. So it's an opportunity for jurors to switch as soon as possible, right? When the transaction is created, maybe they will get a bigger share of cases because of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Great.
exactly. If they are early, they can have a big share of case, and this is like I'm very quite happy about this update, because I think it benefits all the good parts. Like the perceived fairness of the process is higher, both on the parts, both also on the jurors. Like the good jurors are more incentivized to vote just autonomously, without looking at others. So that's quite good.
Great. Yep. And that reminds me of an interesting thing that happened last week. I think it might be still going on. Um, there were there was someone that sent a transaction on the proof of humanity governor contract,
Mm-hmm.
malicious transaction, and I don't know if I can say it's a malicious one. It was a transaction, and then the jurors decided it should not be run because there was no vote about it on the proof of humanity DAO. So the jurors said it was malicious, not me, and so it was blocked. I think the voting period probably finished, or the appeal period probably finished.
Yeah, I think Jean is already again. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
sorry,
back.
my connection is really bad. So yeah, just to finish, the transaction was rejected, and this is how the Kleros governor works. So the attacker here had to put a deposit, and they will lose a deposit since they are losing the dispute on Kleros. And this is something that the Kleros DAO uses too. And one inch uses like another form of it, but in a similar way. And it looks like there are lots of these attacks going on different DAOs and different projects. So
Was it
it's
1 inch that also happened something similar, like in the recent months, that there was some malicious transaction that it was stopped by Kleros, right?
yeah, I think so. I think they had actually two attacks. I don't remember if there were the two of those were this year, but yeah, there were. They actually mentioned to us that they saw this on other DAOs. So yeah, it looks like the AI's capabilities are allowing more people to try these types of attacks. But this is, I think, one of the like main positive things about Kleros is that there's a factor that is harder to be attacked than the smart contracts, which is that you have jurors looking at the evidences and like double checking wherever is that is being proposed. So this is pretty interesting. Great. I will love to share more things, but my connection is really not working well. So I will cut it here and root for Canada in the World Cup. Great. Well, thank you, Fortunato. And thanks everyone for listening, and see you next week. Bye.
Thanks, Gene. See you all. Bye-bye.